Free writing on your resume and your accomplishments, what I suggest is you put your resume to the side. This is very important. You put your resume aside, you block out a time, you take out a blank sheet of paper or sheets of paper and just put what I bring to the table, what my accomplishments are, so forth. And the reason we put the resume to the side is because if you're not a journaler, if you're not a writer by nature, I'm not. So 90% of us, they say, oh, okay, I got to figure out my accomplishments. So we start trying to think about it in our head, and we start typing the top of our resume. And it just shuts down the door of creativity. And you'll sit there for an hour or two, and nothing will come. When we go into the job search, it is incredibly normal. I don't care how humble we are. I don't care how service-oriented we are. It is very normal for us in the job search to get very, very me-focused. Very me-focused. You know what the number one frustration, when I counsel people, consult people, I will always ask, what is your biggest frustration in the job search? Here's the number one by far. Companies don't get back to me. It's the number one frustration that company can anyone relate with that? Okay, and it's the number one. Here's the thing. It's not the company's job to get back to you. That's not why they started their company, believe it or not. Okay? That's not their job. It's your job to create enough value in your resume that they will want to talk to you. Believe it or not, companies do not hire you or hire people so you can get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Shocker, shocker, I know. That is not why companies hire people. They've got some things, problems they're looking to solve or some things they're looking to accomplish. They need some help doing it. They're in the business to generate a profit, and in their mission statement and the things they're looking to accomplish and report back to their board, or if it's a sole proprietor, report back to themselves, getting back to you because you sent in a resume is not one of them. Okay, but that's normal. It's normal. We tend to get very me-focused. The reason there's so much stress and anxiety and sleepless nights in the job search is we're so focused on what's in it for ourselves. And just like everywhere else in life, when we make it about others, we tend to open up. We tend to free up. If Jim and I got in an argument last week, and we're going to have coffee this afternoon, last night would have probably been a difficult evening if I'd been focused on the things that, here's what I want to say, here's the point I want to make make sure he understands this, I want to make sure that he gets this, and he needs to know this stuff. And I'd be rehearsing, and if I'd been thinking about it all week, it'd be a frustrating week. There'd be a lot of anxiety. But if at the beginning of the week I said, you know what, we got this meeting on Saturday afternoon, let's say we had that fight earlier in the week, well, I did this meeting on Saturday afternoon, I'm obviously doing some things that are rubbing Jim the wrong way. I just want to go find out what they are. Well, what about making your points, Ken? I'll worry about that down the road. I'm not worried about that. I really want to find out from his perspective what's going on. Not a lot of prep in that one, is there? That's a pretty easy meeting to go to. That's what we're going to talk about when we get into the interviewing here. Here's the thing, guys. If we were to interview, we won't talk about the people in this room, but if we were to go to the next room and there's 100 people in there that are looking for a job, okay? If we were to, and they all had interviews next week, if we asked them, why are you guys going on these interviews? 98 to 100 of them would say something like, to find out more about the company, to see if it's what I'm looking for, to see what's in it for me. Does that ring a bell? I mean, that's what 98 to 100 of the people would say. Not too many people would respond with, well, I got to thinking, Ken, if they're hiring, that means they've got some problems they're looking to solve or some things they're looking to accomplish. And they obviously need some help doing it. That's why they're hiring. I want to go find out what they are to really understand what their needs are. I'm going to talk about whether or not I can help these guys. As wacky as that latter approach is, those are the people that get the jobs. So we're looking at the world of reality, and since we're doing a paradigm shift, let's put ourselves in the hiring authority's shoes for a moment. Your typical hiring authority, well, let's look at, first of all, establish how long they're going to look at your resume. We know they're not going to light a fire and open a bottle of wine, unless it's yours, Andy's. Great resume. We know they're not going to do that, but we think they're going to spend a few minutes. Here's the world of reality. You got about 8 to 10 seconds. 8 to 10 seconds. If they can't see the value you bring to their party in 8 to 10 seconds, they're not going to continue reading. They literally don't have the time, and here's why. Your typical hiring authority is working 50 to 60 hours a week, minimum. Minimum. They've got 100 fires on their desk. They're getting 200 to 300 emails a day, literally. They are overseeing staff. They are missing soccer games and dinners at home with their spouse. And now on top of it, they're either expanding or they have to replace someone, right? That's why they're hiring, right? So that means there's a lot of extra work in play. Guess who gets to pick up that slack? They do. So that's what their week. They don't have 5 minutes this week for their kid all week. You think they're going to spend 5 minutes on your resume? This one guy I was working with, he said, okay, well, I sold $3 million my first year. Should I put that on there? I'm like, that's good. That shows me you can at least sell, but I don't know what $3 million means. What was your quota, 20 million or was it 1 million? And he reworded it. You never, well, should be no brainer, but never fib, never stretch, ever, 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 ever. Always tell the truth. There's no exceptions, ever. But he reworded it and said, the territory I took over sold $1 million the 2 years prior to me coming on board. I sold $3 million in my first 13 months. That tells me a story. So if all of us as a team are building a sales team and we're hiring, if we got a resume that had 4 or 5 bullets like that, would this young man have our attention? This guy comes into bad places where things aren't selling and he can turn things around and sell. He might not have the experience I'm looking for. He might be too old. He might have too much job hopping. I'm not going to pay as much attention. Why? Because I can see what he's done that will help me do what I want to do. See where we're going with that? It's pretty rare for someone to be X4TI certified. That's one of the key things they're looking for. Guess where I'd have that bullet? Probably above my name. Kidding. I wouldn't put it above my name. But if it's important, if it's one of the top 2 or 3 things my potential customer is looking for, let's get it at the top of the resume. And that's what we're talking about. We put ourselves in the top third. The things that are important to them, most people tend to read from the top down here in America, right? So our job with building a resume is to take the things, find out what our potential customers are looking for. What are their key things that they're going to base their decision upon? Let's look at the things I've done that apply to what they're looking for, and I'm going to put them at the top of the resume because I want to make it super easy for them. They're busy. I've thought about what their world is like. They're busy. I'm not going to make them hunt for the information somewhere in my resume.